This film has not yet been rated by the Motion Picture Association of America and may contain some content inappropriate for children. Warning: viewer discretion advised.
We had heard a little bit about peak oil in our environmental science class, and recently we noticed how much of our daily lives is related to fossil fuels, so we decided to look into the issue a little deeper. We figured the best place to start would be at the Alliance for a Post-Petroleum Local Economy, or APPLE, Center in downtown Nevada City. When we dropped by, we met with Molly Digg, the Executive Director of Sustainable Living in Nevada City, California.
I would define peak oil as the place in time where the most fuel that we can get out of the earth, the rate of fuel that we're extracting from the earth is at its highest level at any given moment. So it's like miles per hour. It's the fastest we end up driving the car, and then it ends up slowing down from there, and we're never able to recover back to those levels of extraction. So, that's where, we reach that peak of extraction, and then we won't be able to ever regain those levels again.
Geophysicist M. King Hubbert first brought peak oil to light in Nuclear Energy and the Fossil Fuels, his 1956 presentation to the American Petroleum Institute. It has since gained a high degree of popularity in the scientific community for predicting the depletion of various natural resources.
Now, to this complete cycle for the world, to give you a time scale on that, bear in mind that started in 1857. And so here's where we were about 3 or 4 years ago. This was proved reserves in here, which would add up to about here. And the estimated peak would occur about 1995, and we go into the decline.
To get a political perspective on the issue of peak oil, we went to a Renette Senum.
I'm a current city council member, former mayor of Nevada City, and I'm involved in many different sustainable projects throughout Nevada City and Nevada County. My definition of peak oil, whether it's natural or man-made, is where oil and gasoline are fuels that we're dependent upon are no longer cheap and necessarily abundant, or even available for that matter.
Peak oil is not to be confused with oil depletion. While peak oil is a time of maximum extraction of oil from the ground, oil depletion refers to a period of falling reserves and supply. After peak oil, production will slow down and the price will rise with it. There will always be oil in the ground, but it will only get more and more difficult to access. As oil companies deplete oil reserves, they will be forced to drill in more dangerous areas, further increasing price.
And when you understand that every single thing we do throughout our day, the food we eat, the things we purchase, the vehicles we drive in, everything is dependent on oil, and we're talking throughout the whole entire chain, from extracting material to when things are made to when they're in your hands. And once you realize how dependent we are on oil, you realize that it's actually an issue that could be considered a national issue, where lack of or our dependency could put us at a high risk.
High risk? Everything we do? How could oil be so powerful? We decided that 3 young men must be stronger than a little tank of liquid, so we decided to test it out.
Let's do it. Alright.
It was a little more difficult than we thought, so maybe Renette has a point. If it's so important to us, what would we do without it?
Worst case scenario regarding energy would be that the oil companies' reserves are much less than what they're telling us they have, or telling the government that they have, and that we keep sort of riding this illusion that there's more oil available than we think there is, and then at some point there just isn't. And then that I think would result in mass shutdown of society. I mean, we're not ready for that.
Worst case scenario is there's no food, there's no water, civilization breaks down, and it's not pretty. When do I think the effects of peak oil will be noticeable? They already are. We're already there. The experts will tell you that before something really skyrockets, you'll see a volatility in prices up and down and up and down, and if you look at fuel prices these last few years have been really volatile. So it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of how fast. We're in it right now. It's just a matter of how fast.
If you had absolute power over policy, what would you change?
Well, I don't ever think about it in those terms because it's like so far out there. I mean, there's a lot of policy barriers, like we talked about, the simple things like the chicken ordinance, but probably the biggest issue regarding peak oil is just the subsidies for the oil companies. I mean, we have to eliminate the subsidies so that we're dealing with reality as far as what the real cost of energy is, and we're not, dealing with this subsidized, not really realistic price that we're paying for fuel. So that's massive, and it's both oil subsidies and agricultural subsidies, because our agricultural industry is so highly dependent upon petroleum and use so much of it that that's a completely unsustainable way of farming as well.
Well, one of the first things I would do is I would stop paving so many roads, and I would do a whole campaign like Rosie the Riveter with World War II, where we converted auto industry into a war machine industry within 4 years. I would actually want to transform our transportation industry from being car dependent into being on rails, basically. Railway lines, bring them back. And then where you can't connect rail to communities, then you make sure that that's where you pave your roads, you keep them in good shape, and it's electric cars with stations. That's one of the first things. Other policy is stop the war. We're not broke. Just stop the warring. We don't need to police the world. That right there would solve all of our problems.
We knew it couldn't be all bad, so we wanted to know what we could look forward to in the coming years.
More than the worst case scenario, I think the best case scenario is what we're going to be experiencing in many ways. Best case scenario is that we really utilize open source. Wiki, we actually build on what we're already learning, and we share with one another, where we've been living in a whole entire paradigm where this is my idea, it's all mine, I'm going to copyright it. And instead what we're going to do is we're going to build off of each other's brilliance, and we're going to actually support the collective genius. And I actually believe that your generation and my generation and the younger generation and some of the older generation are going to take what scraps and bits and pieces we have laying all around us, and we're going to reinvent our community, we're going to reinvent farming, we're going to reinvent vehicles, we're going to reinvent ourselves to the point of where we're going to probably shock ourselves. We're really going to astound ourselves. And the only reason why I say that is that whenever these challenges have arisen, every time I've seen people come together and collectively address something, we always surpass my imagination. Every time.
I think that we have to develop new technologies. I think that's part of the solution. I don't think there's any silver bullets. I don't think any one thing is going to solve this problem, or all of a sudden we're going to wake up and we have fixed it. I think that technology is an important part of the solution, but it certainly is only one part.
In discussions of peak oil, we say there's no silver bullet, there's many silver BBs. And that's pretty much the answer. It's not going to be one big silver bullet. Oil is just highly energy concentrated. There's just really nothing like it. Now, not that we can't find something, not that we can't harness solar power or wind. We can do all those things. But one of the tricks about this whole conversation is that, okay, you might find the answer. You might find, okay, here's a silver bullet. We've got this great solution. But we have to lay all the infrastructure in order for it to work. Well, in order to lay out all that infrastructure, that takes a lot of oil.
What should we start doing to help solve this problem? What can I do personally?
The first thing you have to do is public outreach. You have to educate people about the problem, and you have to educate people just as importantly, or more importantly, about the solutions, about the possibilities. And so once you do that, then it's smaller projects, everything from sitting with city council and saying we want to do an energy solutions task force, which looks at short, mid, and long range energy disruptions, what that would do to our municipality. There's other smaller things. One of the gateways to sustainability and the solutions to peak oil is our local food movement. I mean, everything starts with local food. I mean, that's really the gateway to me about sustainable communities. If you want to really bring in people into sustainable practices and getting off of oil, introduce them to sustainable, locally grown food, and have potlucks and farmers markets and and CSAs and a little yard garden. I mean, that really is one of the small things.
To learn more about Apple, go to apple-nc.org, and to find sustainable organizations and local CSAs in your area, you can visit www.greenmap.org.
This documentary may contain copyrighted materials. Use has not been specifically authorized by the copyright owner. Color Function Productions is showing this video documentary in order to advance understanding of peak oil. We believe that this constitutes the use of the copyrighted materials provided for in Section 107 of the U.S. Copyright Law. If you wish to use this copyrighted material for purposes of your own that go beyond fair use, you must obtain permission from the copyright owner.